officers to the ER.
Do these guys have any idea what they are talking about?
Get squared away.
Spiritual.
Get squared away.
Emotional.
Get squared away.
Mental.
Get squared away.
Physical.
The podcast that'll help you get squared away.
What is up? We are back with another episode of Squared Away. We are here with JR. JR is a SWAT member from North Carolina, right?
Yeah, North Carolina.
All right, dude. We kind of got connected because I heard you had an awesome, I guess not so awesome, but a story about an ambush when you were off duty. Let's start with your background. Where are you from?
So I'm from a small town here in North Carolina. It's called Chapel Hill. So it's home of the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. So if you're familiar with that, a small college town, very diverse town. That's where I'm from. So grew up there, born and raised here in North Carolina. Never really went anywhere else. Elementary, middle school, high school, never really relocated anywhere else. And after high school, got a full scholarship to play at the University of North Carolina Central here in Durham. A very prestigious, historically black college university. Was able to be offered a full scholarship. Redshirted my freshman year. Was there 5 years, graduating in 4.5. And then pretty much jumped right into law enforcement right out of college, man. So my upbringing was in Chapel Hill. Like I said, it's very diverse, but I was from the impoverished side of town. Mom and dad, high school degree, paycheck to paycheck. Kind of one of those deals, and was the first to go to college out of my family. And, wanted to my dad always kind of pushed me to be better. He wanted better for me and my brother. So that was kind of my upbringing. Real true grit, down and dirty type living, man, until I was able to get on my feet. So
that's where some of the best people come from, is that kind of real upbringing. Nothing, no silver spoon. Like, you have to actually learn how to live and how to be a good human being.
Yeah, exactly.
So would you say your dad was a good role model?
Yeah, I say my dad was my biggest role model, my biggest influencer of my life. He passed 3 years ago now, and very young. He was 59 years old when he died of a heart attack. So it was very tragic. It was kind of unexpected. This wasn't one of those things I was really expecting, but he was a huge influence in my life. Growing up, he and my mom had some issues. They separated, divorced. But my dad was actually the one who took me, my brother, and kind of raised us. My mom was kind of off trying to learn and grow on her own. So he was able to take me and my brother in, which is very prominent, especially I would say anywhere, but specifically in the African American or culture. Not having a father there is a huge thing. We've seen that kind of really take a turn for a lot of people of color who have not had the father in their lives. And it goes, like I said, it goes for anybody, but specifically, definitely in the African American community, not having a prominent role model father to be able to kind of guide you and learn. I big ups to all the single mothers out there who are raising young boys to be kings. But I'm a big advocate that a woman can't teach a man how to be a man. I mean, that's what it is. So I'm thankful that my father was there to kind of teach me and those things to me.
And I know I've brought it up a few times in the podcast before, but one of the most amazing things that they've found through research of a single parent home is in the single parent homes where there is no father, empathy is actually lacking, which you would think would be more of a feminine characteristic, but empathy is lacking in the homes without a father, which is just, kind of crazy, but also kind of explains a lot.
Wow.
So you went right into law enforcement from college. What did you go to school for? Did you go to school for criminal justice law enforcement?
Yeah, so out of high school, I was in this program. It was called AVID. I think it's still around. It's called Advanced Individual Determination. Very, very prominent national organization program. Got me prepared for college and things of that nature. Kind of pushed us to have a major in mind. I mean, most people go to college and they're like, I don't know what I want to be. But I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do going into college, so it was easy. I jumped right into law enforcement, and then I got my degree, my bachelor's of science in law enforcement. So it was in criminal justice, so it was easy for me just to kind of coast right in.
And then right into beat cop, or
yeah, so straight from there, man. Right out of college, I was probably employed here with the local police agency here where I'm at in North Carolina. I was probably employed within 6 months of graduation, so. Fresh out, new was, very tough for people to kind of get a job in their profession, 6 months out. So I jumped in it right quick. It started off at a local police agency. Didn't stay there very long. Then went over to the sheriff's department as well. So that's where I kind of started. Didn't start off as a beat cop, to be honest, man. I kind of started off my journey as a bailiff. Here, we're here in North Carolina, we're building this huge new courthouse. So they hired most of us on to be bailiffs. So we had a lot of young guys, and they wanted to kind of, set the tone, set the standard for this multi-million-dollar courthouse that we started off. So I was in there for about 7 months as a bailiff. I worked in the family courts. I did a little bit of child custody stuff, and then some civil stuff. So it was pretty cool. 7 months, and then I started to be a beat cop and really learn how to be the police, I should say.
How big is the area you guys police?
It's pretty big. I don't know as far as like mileage, but there's probably about close to 300,000 here in where I'm at. So it's a pretty big area. We have two main municipalities. We have a PD and we have a sheriff's office, and then we have other local colleges and universities, things of that nature. So it's probably about 5 agencies here in North Carolina.
So all sorts of room for trouble. Man,
tons of room for trouble, man. It's a hot spot, bro.
What was your first big, like, holy shit moment?
My first holy shit moment was I was in FTO, or field training, and I was riding with my training officer. And a lot of times when you're training, some guys don't get exposed to things early. I was kind of one of those guys that got exposed early. I was kind of, my training officer still refers to me as a shit magnet. So we were a funny story. We were setting up a checkpoint with Highway Patrol. We were assisting them. Highway Patrol wanted us to be one of the chase cars. And we happened to be one of the chase cars. And like the second car that came through there, man, this guy kind of blew through it, didn't stop. So it was a full-on onslaught chase between us and Highway Patrol. We're chasing this guy, and this guy was driving like a little smaller two-door convertible vehicle, and he hit this Mack truck head on, man, and it exploded. And that guy was in, I had to be gruesome, but the guy was in like a million pieces. And I knew at that point, I was like, well, what am I getting myself into? I mean, it was early too. And I'm like, I'd never seen a dead body before. I'd never felt that type of adrenaline before, and been exposed to that type of chaos. So that was like my first oh shit moment. Like this is real.
And that's one of those where it's like, oh man, like you did that to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you're standing around and you're like, where do we begin, man? Like 2 minutes ago, this guy was, just driving away from us, and now we're like trying to find where his body parts are. It's just kind of crazy. So
a little bit of a Darwinism there, right? Like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
So what got you into SWAT?
So I knew that's something I always wanted to be in, man. And it was one of those things that transferred over well for me, being an athlete, being a captain on my college team for, my junior and senior year, wanting to lead men. And I think that's the preem being of law enforcement. There's no bigger, I guess, group of elite guys than SWAT. It's who the police call when the police need the police. So I knew it was one of the biggest things, the biggest goals I had set for myself, and I wanted to do the best I can to be a part of that elite group. Especially, I knew it would grow my career professionally. A lot of departments are big into like tactical leadership. And here in my agency, a lot of guys who are in the upper echelon in the command staff who are on specialized divisions or on SWAT. So it works out.
And then how long you been in SWAT?
I've been in SWAT for 8 years. I'm a sergeant now and assistant team leader on the SWAT.
So what does that look like? What does the day look like there?
So my agency, we have a part-time, we're a part-time SWAT team. We should be full-time because we do full-time work. But on the daily, what happens is I'm a sergeant on uniform patrol. So I manage a group of probably about 9 guys, and I have a supervisor, my lieutenant. So when we get a call, and most of our calls are, kind of generating from patrol stuff, whatever investigations have, but mainly what narcotics does. We do a lot of raids and stuff for narcotics. So when we have a call out, one of the team leaders will put some out, and guys will kind of, because it's a voluntary team, we'll see how many guys are available. We'll group up, we'll brief it, do our reconnaissance and handle business.
So let's get into the ambush story. What can you tell us about that? What happened?
Obviously it's definitely a still federal investigation going on.
Yeah, and so I figure there's not a ton you can talk about.
Not a ton as far as names and things of that nature that I can like drop, but I'll kind of give you the rundown. It's coming up on about a year. So November 14th, 2020, so we're embarking on that point. I go back to work on the 15th, so I go back the day after my anniversary. That's anniversary date of being an ambulance. So it was an early Saturday morning. I was off, man. I was off work. My wife and kids had just left the house to go do some shopping. And I left. I was going to meet up with some of my guys, my former college teammates who were in town. Being close to Thanksgiving, we're going to do some training. I'm big into physical fitness, so we're going to go work out here at a local park. Grab my stuff, left my house, man, and I'm really always kind of aware of my surroundings. When I'm in uniform, more so, absolutely, but when I'm out of uniform, there's going to be a normal sense of being relaxed, but still being aware. Um, didn't see any cars on my street. Didn't see anything. Nobody following me. Anybody that wasn't normal for a Saturday morning, man. Like again, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Most people are really kind of just getting moving around, running their errands. While I leave out of my neighborhood and I get to the first stoplight, so I'm literally 0.25 miles away from my home, and I see there was a truck. I remember a truck pulling up behind me in the distance, but I was the first car to hit the light. And from behind the truck emerged a white in color Hyundai Sonata. Um, Tinted windows, but when they were approaching me, the windows were already down. And I immediately locked eyes with the passenger who had on the hood. The driver had on the hood as well, but they both had on those COVID masks, man. We're in the middle of a pandemic. A lot of guys, criminals will take opportunities to wear those masks to kind of hide themselves. But, it's not normal, man. That's just, we call that in this line of work. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of it. We call those nonverbal clues, bro. Like, I'm aware of it. Like, if it don't look right, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, damn it, it's a duck. You know what I mean? So I immediately noticed that, guys in the hoods, and he was giving me this 1,000-yard stare, which we use in law enforcement. He's staring right through me, and I'm like, who is this guy? I don't know who he is. I've never seen this guy before, and it looks like they were trying to get my attention, but my windows were rolled up, and my tent's very dark on my vehicle. Just because I travel with my girls, and I want to keep my family safe and kind of hide my identity from some of the work I've done. And as soon as I began to crack my window, man, the guys, they just unloaded my vehicle, man. I just heard the cracks of gunshots. I did the best I could. I was armed, but I could not get to my weapon. Everybody asked me, man, did you get a chance to fire rounds back, man? When you're in a gunfight and you lost a drop, all you can do is, duck your taco and try to survive. And that's what I did. I was able to duck. They were crushing my car, dude. I couldn't imagine if there was a car in front of me, but in the split second, it seemed like it was an eternity, but it was probably maybe 3 or 4 seconds. They hit my car 17 times. A lot of the rounds went through the back windshield, through the side door where they were all in my kids' car seats. There was 3 in the headrest. The one that got me was the one that hit me in my lat, and I think that's because I was ducking, covering my head, and it caught me right underneath my lat and came out of my front delt. And another one grazed me on my tricep. As I was pulling away, I was just thinking about those things, thinking about my training. Those things just happen naturally, man. If you've trained something over and over again, you made it a repetition, you've thought about those type of scenarios. When the moment comes, it just happens. So I was able to get away, kind of do some self-assessment on myself. There was a young gentleman who I finally stopped. It took me forever to wave somebody down because I'm bleeding. I got a big old beard and I got a gun in my hand and I'm bleeding. Nobody wants to stop, So somebody stopped and I was able to kind of self-assess, walk this guy. The guy was terrified. I was trying to walk him through it and just keeping pressure on my wound. I'm on the phone. I got a gun in my hand trying to talk to communications. Then the cavalry came. Once they came, got me off to the hospital. Luckily, it was a through and through. Didn't hit any organs. Didn't hit any vital, arteries or bones. It was literally muscle, straight right through the muscle, right through the fat, out. And it was a very clean wound. So it healed up. I was probably out of work for about 2 months and out of the gym for maybe 2 weeks. I remember going back to the gym after 2 weeks and my bandage is still bleeding because I was still training. So it was pretty sweet.
And they got the guys, right?
They got him. One of the guys they got the next day. It was kind of bittersweet. The guys, the SWAT team, they kind of pulled us off of it, obviously, because we have a conflict of interest. So they used another local municipality SWAT team to kind of do everything. They got one guy. Next day, they got the other guy. He was on the run for about 64 days before they caught him. One of the females that's involved, she just got sentenced to 2 years for lying to the FBI in cooperation. I know those guys out, and the guys are waiting. Probably going to fight out the role. So looking forward to that. That's my revenge.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Can you tell, was it in relation to something you had done in the past?
So they don't really know. Nobody's cooperating in regards to the information. So we don't know if it was, a planned ambush and attack. I mean, guys are just kind of trying to, the investigators are trying to kind of piece everything together. With it being so close to my house, so early in the morning, they're still doing some data dumps as far as cell phones and trying to do some interviews. So they don't know if it was a planned attack or if it was, misidentification. Those guys thinking I was a rival gang member that's driving a similar car or what. You know what I mean? But until I am informed otherwise, I'm taking it as it was an attack on my life and my life specifically. So
Yeah, and thank God your kids weren't in those seats.
yeah, amen, brother.
So this is the Squared Away podcast, and we do talk about personal development. We get into the pillars. The pillars are the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional. So the physical, I think you've got a lot of breadth of knowledge between your athletic career. You're a trainer. What is your physical practice look like?
So my physical practice, and it's always, that physicality has always been a presence in my life. Obviously, being a collegiate athlete, so it's always been instilled in me. But my training regimen looks like right now I'm in a bulking season because it's winter. I do bodybuild a little bit too, so I do some men's physique stuff. I have some experience in that, and I have my own company and I do nutritional guidance. So right now I do traditionally more weightlifting style stuff. I do a little bit of CrossFit because that's important. I believe in my job. It's kind of my job relation. It's important working at explosiveness and using those tools, training to do the things that you do on a normal. So, but my normal regimen, I'm lifting probably about 3 or 4 times a week. I'm pretty heavy in the gym right now because I'm trying to gain some weight, add some mass after losing all my strength of being shot. So, and then it's a little bit of cardio involved in that as well, to kind of keep the fat off. And then the biggest part is that diet and nutrition, man. That's the biggest part of my physical training. If I'm not eating right, I don't have the fuel to fuel my body, to fuel my workouts, to keep me going. And it's you're pretty much pointless. You're just working out just to work out.
What's your diet look like?
You said what now?
What's your diet look like?
So my diet's fairly clean. When I bulk, there's a tons of ways you can do it. You talk about, a clean bulk or a dirty bulk. Right now, I eat kind of like a pit bull. And, everybody's like, man, you eat the same thing every day, So in the morning, I'm always doing like 2 or 3 eggs in the morning, either boiled or over easy. Doing oatmeal, things of that nature. A lot of good quality fruits, whole foods. A lot of range-free chicken. I talk about, that being range-free chicken or free range. Grass-fed beef, a lot of that stuff. And then I do probably fish 2 or 3 times a week. And then most of my carbohydrates consist of those complex carbs being a jasmine rice, sweet potato. I kind of keep it the same, man, because I know what my macronutrients are. I know what my body needs. And I keep it sort of strict, but then I have like two days a week where I get a cheat meal. So Friday's like my day, man. I go and get donuts for the girls, and I do a pizza at night. So that's like my deal for Fridays, that treat to kind of keep going. But I keep it simple, man. Chicken, fish, steak, rice, potatoes, maybe asparagus or broccoli.
How tall and how heavy are you?
Right now I'm probably about 5'9", and I'm about 225 pounds.
What's your calorie count look like?
My calorie count right now, man, it's very tough, but I'm trying to consume, the number that I'm at right now is 3,750. So it's a lot of food, man, that I'm trying to consume right now. So I'm right around 3,750, and it's consistent. I'm able to do it now because I'm not working. So I'm able to eat throughout the night. I stay up pretty much late, and I'm eating throughout the night. I get a chance to rest during the day, so it works out for me, man. So I'm trying to get to that 4,000 calorie a day count, man, just to keep it going. That's what I need to kind of put on that muscle, man.
4,000 clean calories is a lot of food.
A lot of food, bro.
A lot of protein, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of protein, a lot of eating. It's a lot of eating when you don't want to eat, man. You know what I mean? 6 heavy meals a day and just like, pinching your nose and eating that stuff and just swallowing with a bunch of water. I don't drink. I've probably been sober for about going on 4 years now, so I don't drink. So that's a huge. And when you start talking about how the body, because alcohol affects your metabolism. So the fact that I don't drink, I'm able to keep the weight off, keep my metabolism going. I'm also able to get those extra calories in. I don't believe in drinking your calories, man. I drink water and black coffee and maybe the occasional energy drink, maybe a Reign or something like that. But I try to keep it clean, man. I don't believe in drinking my calories.
So with your training, you said you lean a little bit more towards bodybuilding than like a powerlifting training. correct?
Yeah,
So
correct.
what are you looking for as far as like rep ranges, sets, stuff like that?
So I'm a big believer in trying to not count reps. I believe in that. You know, if you sit up there and say, "Hey, I'm going to do 3 sets of 10." You know, most of the time when you get up there and you do 3 sets of 10, you hit 10, hit number 10, and you still got a little bit more left in the tank. So I'm a little bit. I'm a bit bigger on going to the maximum effort. You know, if the first set I get 25, I get 25. The second set I get 23. You know, you keep going until you can't go anymore. And I think that's how you build that muscle. So, but if I'm writing down the plan, if I go in with the mindset of a plan, most of my stuff is usually 4 sets of 12 to 15, and that's kind of like where I want to keep it. You know, 4 sets of 12 to 15. Especially when I'm working when I'm working value, I'm working mass. I want to cut those down a little bit. I might do 4 sets of 5. I made to kind of cut that range down because I'm doing a lot heavier weight. That's pretty much on everything. You know, the way I train, I do it chest. I do chest and tries, back and buys. I do legs on their own day. I do shoulders on their own days. And then I'll come back on like a Saturday or something like that and do a maintenance day where I'll do a full body. I'll hit legs. I'll hit everything, depending on how I feel, depending on where my body looks. And then I just kind of go from there.
Awesome. What are your go-to? What's your supplement plan look like?
My supplement plan is, man, it's crazy right now, man. Everything is clean right now. I haven't really gotten into any type of performance enhancement drugs, mainly because, I haven't. I've always been a natural genetics guy, so I haven't gotten into that. I need to get my blood work done, though, because I want to know what my testosterone levels are. But my supplement regimen looks pretty clean right now. I'm doing ashwagandha. I'm not sure if many people are familiar with ashwagandha roots. It's an ancient medicinal root. It's really good for keeping your stress levels down, helping that testosterone, dropping those cortisol levels. I'm doing that. I do a vitamin D. I do a B12. I do a magnesium, elderberry, zinc, omega-3 fish. I'm on L-carnitine right now. And I also do whey protein, complete whey isolate as well. Is there anything else out there? I found this new supplement I'm trying as well to it helps with mood and stress. It's called DHEA. Not sure if anybody.
Oh yeah, I do a DHEA every night along with a yohimbine and a ZMK, which is basically.
Oh man,
how old are you about there, Anthony?
33.
Oh, okay. I'm like, man, we're taking about the same stuff, except I'm like 2 decades ahead of you almost.
Yeah, man. I want to make sure I'm on top of it, man, and because I'm on that supplement, I mean, it's just the strongest I've ever been, man. I did, I wanted to do 4 or 5 before I got back before my anniversary date, and I'm lifting like bench press. I hit 415 probably 3 weeks ago, so I'm pretty strong right now, man. I think that supplement, sleeping right and having those supplementations down pat, I think it's working, man.
It's got to be nice to have some time off too.
Oh man, it's amazing, man. It's so good for the mental. All I have to worry about is family stress. I have no work stress right now, man. It's literally taking care of my 3 girls and doing what my wife says. So,
girl dad, that's me over here, girl dad.
Oh man, that's the best thing ever, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
So mental. I'm sure you probably had a little bit more intense mental consumption when you were in college. But what kind of media do you consume? Are you a book guy, a documentary guy, movies?
Man, I'm really not like I most of my readings, there's 2 books. I have a ton of books, and guys have, especially through like meeting a lot of military guys and law enforcement guys. There's a lot of guys, Soul Survivor and things of that nature. There's a lot of good books. Fearless is another great one. Guys talks about that book. One of my 2 favorites are Warrior Mindset. I took a class with Lieutenant Dave Grossman probably 4 or 5 years ago, and talking about that warrior mindset. And then the other one, which is a staple, is Art of War, man. That's bro. I mean, just talk about those physical and mental battles. I mean, I think there's so much mentally you get from this book and understanding those battles that you have within yourself and able to overcome that, man. So the Art of War is huge, the warrior mindset. So I'm a reader when it comes to something I like. I like simple reads. I'm not a big time reader, but I'm also not a big media guy. I don't watch too many shows. I mean, I do some Netflix stuff, pretty cool. I'm sure everybody was watching like Squid Games and things of that nature, but I read a little bit when it appeals to me, but it has to click with me. It has to like relate to me, and it has to make sense for me.
So to get through school, you just buckled down and did whatever you had to do. You didn't necessarily have a practice.
No, I didn't have a practice, man. I was one of those guys when it comes to like studying and education. once I hear something, I'm a very auditory learner. So once I hear something, like I have it, I don't have to. I've never been like a huge, or so I take notes, and if I can see it, um, that helps as well. So being that helps me as well. But I never studied, man. Like it's either one of those things, like either you know it or you don't. Like I listened in class when my instructors teach. When I go to these classes, I listen. So when it just registers for me auditorily, man, and then I go from there. So um, maybe that's a blessing.
That is definitely a blessing,
bro. If I hear it, man, it's over, man. If I hear it, I got it.
Oh my God, I can't remember somebody's name that they told me 6 minutes ago. If you're an auditory learner, you should get in that audiobook game, man.
Man, everybody tells me about the audiobooks. Sometimes it's so hard to sit there and read, but when I'm in my car, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, man. Like everybody's big on like the Joe Rogan things and stuff like that. Like, so I do listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff of that nature, and that stuff kind of clicks for me because I can sit there and I can worry about driving, and my mind I'm just listening to those books and I'm just processing all that information. So it's definitely something I want to get into, man. Auditory book.
Yeah, that's my go-to. I mean, that's like 50 books a year are all audiobooks for me.
Oh man.
So what's your top 3 podcasts other than Squared Away?
Yes, Squared Away. Squared Away has to be a staple. Now I was listening to another one like 2 days ago. It's one of the most recent ones you guys posted. It was a snippet, and I was listening to that one. So I'm gonna definitely be tuning in, guys. Joe Rogan is obviously out there, and then I like listening to guys who bring on, what's my man's name? I cannot remember his name. The guy who's like a Navy SEAL.
Jocko?
I have his no, not Jocko. I've heard of his podcast with the other guy, light skinned brother. He was heavy set.
Oh, David Goggins.
David Goggins. So anything that has David Goggins on it, any guys that are bringing him on to listen to stuff, I listen to a lot of his stuff too, man. That dude is a nut, bro. But damn,
that'll be your first audiobook. Do the Goggins audiobook because he records it like a podcast. So he records a chapter and then they talk about the chapter and he goes through like extra stories you don't get in the actual book in between each chapter. It's awesome.
Oh, the Can't Hurt Me series.
Yeah.
I gotta check that out, man. That's definitely something I'm gonna put on my list to do, man. Especially having this little bit of time off has been good to kind of get into some of that stuff. So I'll definitely take a mental note and get into that as well.
Spiritual. Tell us about your spiritual practice.
So my spiritual practice, man, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer of Christ, man. I'm a follower of Christ. I always have been. I got saved when I was a junior in high school. Kind of took a break in my spiritual life in regards to like being a part of a church. Playing football was just too hard to be a part of a church. We were traveling every weekend, and Sundays we had film and breakdown, and so it was just hard. So I went through the vast majority of my college career not going to a church, and then reconnected with not reconnected, but met this stranger who lives in my neighborhood. His name is Hank Murphy. He's actually a recording artist, just went number 1 on the billboards here for Christian music. He goes by Brandon Murphy. Connected with him, he got me back into the spiritual life. Was a part of a church called Summit here in North Carolina. And then I helped, I don't want to say help start, but I went to attend a church plant. It's called Rebuild Fellowship, where I'm at now. Very small and diverse church. So I'm big into spiritual, man. It's been a battle here lately over this last couple of years, dealing with some PTSD and the spiritual realm. I haven't been able to obviously go to church as much as I wanted because of COVID and all the restrictions. Then my wife got pregnant. So, but now what my spiritual practice look like now every day I have a group of 2 other guys. And it's my pastor and one other guy in the church who's also a law enforcement officer. And we do a daily devotional in the morning. We send out a plan just through the Bible app. We read through the scripture, go over the studies, and then we make comments and we kind of go back and forth about what we learned. And then we also attend it's kind of like Kingdom Fellowship. It's on Mondays at like 7:30. It's a group of guys in my church. We get together and we just talk over scriptures and plans and reads and pray together and try to become whole, man. The church is, everybody talks about the church being this place for like the saved, man. It's as a house full of sinners, bro, is all it is, bro. So we're all trying to reach that goal. We all want to please God, and we'll never please Him. But if we live our life trying to, I think he'll be happy about that.
So you guys are doing plans out of the YouVersion?
I don't know which version it is. We just go. He sends the plan. My pastor sends the plans. But I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, he sends the plans. Oh, yeah.
It's just the Holy Bible app. It's pretty much one of the most common.
Yeah, that's the U version.
Is that the U version? Yeah, it is the U. Actually, it is the U version.
I got to put notifications in there to wake me up in the morning saying I got to do my devotions. Otherwise,
yeah. It's the U version that kind of like tracks your plan. It's today. It's going to snap the notification. You're reading today. Like, yeah, it's the U version.
Yeah, awesome. No, I do.
You mentioned dealing with some PTSD. You're in a pretty intense part of law enforcement. What does it look like for you to try to emotionally handle that kind of stuff?
It's really tough, man. It's really tough, especially now, man. Like, I've seen so much, and we talk about PTSD, and that's one of my things I kind of started after I got shot. I kind of started this. It's kind of a saying. It's called hard to kill. And it's like being, taking the mask off, and so much in law enforcement, man. We compartmentalize so much. And being a sergeant on my squad, I have a lot of young officers that guys are like, I've been in the field. I'm still young in my career. I'm 10 years in and I'm a sergeant on uniform patrol, but a lot of my guys are, 3-4 years experience. So wanting to really get those guys open to talk about a lot of things, what they've experienced. If they go to a specific call, if they're dealing with something outside of work, that's kind of, stressing them. It's tough, man. We see a lot of stuff, a lot of death and trauma and a lot of, destruction is all we deal with is dealing with people's issues. So, and we don't get a chance to really deal with our own. So, it's tough, man, and it's really tough. I have those days, and just being open with my wife and telling her, like, look, I'm not having a good day, and she knows if I'm not having a good day, it's not towards her. You can't control those feelings of anxiety. I get a lot of anxiety when I drive my personal vehicle, especially because I live so close from the incident. I have to drive for so long, man. For the first 2 months after I was recovering, I couldn't drive through the intersection. I couldn't do it. I took the routes around it. I tried to avoid it, but now every day I drive through that same intersection every day. And I get anxiety when cars pull up beside me to have dark tint. I can't see in. Loud noises. Like 4th of July used to be one of those things I look forward to, man. 4th of July this year was terrible, man. It was terrible for me, man. I just, wanted to kind of get in a dark room and put some headphones in, and I have to hear the sound of what appeared to be gunshot. So, but you keep pushing, man. You reach out, and I'm open about it. I wear my emotions on my sleeve a lot. And when I'm not having a good day or I'm not feeling good, like I understand that's okay. Like it's okay not to have a good day, and that's normal. So,
well, it's good to have accountability too.
Yeah,
like guys
sure.
that you can go to and pray for you, and because otherwise that stuff just
and that's a big piece, man. And for so much for law enforcement, I know there's going to be tons of guys out there who can relate. Being involved in a ton of critical incidents, and then that one that was kind of personal. Your agency send you out to these local places that are free, that are hey, it's a part of the employee assistance program, and those have been some of the worst conversations that I've had with some so-called psychiatrists, because they just don't understand. You're not going to get a 40-year-old woman who's never been in a car wreck to tell me, I'm telling her about I've been shot, or I've been ambushed, or I've saw this and I've dealt with this. And she just like, okay, like, and she doesn't understand. So I got connected with a group here in North Carolina. It's called NC Leap. It's a group of guys that are, they're fantastic. The peer support groups. I'm connected with this guy now who was retired from the ATF. He did a lot of stuff with the David Koresh stuff in Waco. And that dude's they paired me up with him because he's been through so much. He's been in like 7 critical incidents. He's been shot. He's been stabbed. He's had to kill people. And that dude is a wealth of knowledge. So if I'm having a bad day and I'm like, look, man, I need to talk to somebody, I call that dude, and that dude talks me down. So, and he understands it because he was prior law enforcement. So it's good to have somebody that you can relate to and share the information with.
And hopefully with science coming the way that it is, we really start to develop the ways to deal with these things in our country. I mean, I know me and Martin have talked about it on here a few times before, but just simple things like the MDMA studies that they've done, that along with therapy drastically reduces PTSD scores. And after a few sessions, your scores stay down versus any medication that they're going to give you. The minute you're off of them, the scores are right back up. So like there's a lot scientifically that they are trying to do. It's just everything is so far behind. They learn.
We're so far. I read this book right after. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it talks a lot about the scientific stuff of like, the scientific background between like PTSD and, the military stuff. We're so far behind the 8 ball. And I think mental health is such a huge part of our society that just goes overlooked, and there's such a negative stigma on it. So when you tell a guy, hey man, I'm gonna go talk to a shrink or a psychiatrist, everybody thinks he's crazy. So guys want to, naturally, for guys and girls that are exposed to that stuff, that compartmentalize because they don't want to be labeled. We got to start taking this negative label off mental health, mental illness, and PTSD, and start adding some importance of that stuff, because there are a lot of guys in law enforcement, as well as, I know you guys have heard of Mission 22. Guys and girls that serve this country, that are doing great works, that are the country's warriors, man, are killing themselves day in and day out because they're not getting the help they need. They're the helpers, man. It's like I tell everybody all the time, man. Like, who helps the helpers, bro? That's something we got to start looking into. It's got to make it a priority.
What do you think? How has everything changed here in the last few years with all of the defund the police and everything? I mean, they basically demonize the people that are here to save everybody. Has anything changed down by you guys, or is it kind of stay the same?
All right, I can be pretty open on this podcast.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. So, not to get so deep into like the politics, man, but we've seen this overhaul of this liberal overtake in our country. We want to try to please everybody, and we become a society where we care more about feelings and facts, and we get so involved emotionally with things instead of kind of sticking to the facts of what works, what's going to get us on the right start. And that's killed law enforcement. We've seen a lot of guys, a lot of these, controversial cases of these law enforcement shootings. And what happens is a lot of these agencies don't want to end up like other agencies that they've seen in the media. They don't want to be that agency in the media. They don't want to be a Minnesota. You know what I mean? So they try to do what they can to outcast or separate themselves from that specific officer to protect one, their positions, and then the integrity of the agency. And so you see a lot of guys who are actually doing good work, who are doing God's work in this profession, get outcasted or scorned or get labeled for doing what they had to do to survive, because we want to please the national media. We want to appease these government officials, and it can't be that way, man. This defund the police has really affected us where I'm at. The local PD here is probably down almost 200 spots. We're starting to see a lot of people in communications leave. We're starting to see a lot of officers leave to go to other places for better money. And we begged the city council and the county commissioners for more money and more funding and more things of that nature. Hell, we had to fund the police in front of the police station for almost a year before they took it down. I mean, what does that do for the morality of those guys and girls who go to serve? They walk out every day out of their headquarters and they see defund the police painted on the ground in huge yellow writing. So it starts to affect the upper echelon because they want to protect their money, they want to protect their rank, they want to protect their retirement funds. So they become puppets, man, and they do what people tell them to do instead of having a leader out there that's going to be a leader of men and listen to those guys that are on the ground doing the work. We've gotten away from that, bro, and it's starting to affect a lot of us.
Do you see it drastically affecting the type of people you have coming in?
It does. It does. We have a lot of really we're starting to kind of bring in a lot of people, not only in law enforcement, where you're getting a lot of younger guys, right? And because you're getting a lot of younger guys in, if your specific agency doesn't really have any incentives for you to stay, all the best guys are going to all these other agencies where they're going to pay and they're going to appreciate them. So when you do that, and when you don't match what these other surrounding, municipalities or agencies are doing, you're going to bring in, the worst of the worst. The guys that can't get applied other places are going to come to you because, one, it's an easy job for you to get. You're not paying much. They probably have a blemish on their record or two, and then that affects the integrity of the agency in itself. So if you want to retain officers, I believe, one, you have to give them an incentive to stay. And that incentive doesn't always have to be monetary. I tell my troops all the time, we can't worry about what the upper echelon is going to do. We can worry about we can control the morale on this squad where we work and where we serve. The 10 guys that we go to work with and we go to battle with every day, we can control that morale. And if we can control that morale, we can control anything. So I think guys will stay for good morale. If morale is bad and pay is low, guys are fine. They want to stay where they feel represented, where they feel like they have a voice, where they feel like they make a difference. But when you take that from them and you give them low pay, nobody wants to stay, man. the mission becomes blurred, and guys are just trying to, paycheck to paycheck.
And human psychology, they need to know that somebody's going to have their back. If something does happen and push does come to shove, they need to know or feel in their heart that somebody's going to have their back and stick up for them.
100%, bro. And that's what all people want, is that. I tell my guys all day, I said, my biggest saying for them is, I say, look, I will die for you, but I will not lie for you. But if there's anything that you're going through, if you can't bring it to me first, if you can't trust me enough to bring it to me first, if we don't have that line of communication, then I can't help you. But if you tell me what's going on, you tell me what you've done, and you're honest with me. But see, that's the trust that they want. They want somebody to say, you know what, hey, Sarge, I messed up. Hey, Sarge, I need this. They want somebody to give them that positive reinforcement. They want somebody to say, look, I tell them all the time, bro, I got your back. Those simple words, I got your back. Those 4 words change the narrative, bro. I got your back. People want to be cared for. They want to feel protected. They want to feel like somebody's going to, a leader's really going to lead them. You know what I mean?
We're seeing, not to get too political, but we're already on the topic. So we're seeing such a separation between states right now. I mean, you've got blue states that are imposing mandates and defunding police and doing all of this shit. And then you have states like Florida that's like, if you guys got fired, come down to Florida. We got open jobs. You guys got backups in your ports. Come on, we'll get all your ships in the next 2 hours, and it's just, and we're going to see the separation of state leadership and what it does for local economies, what it does for even the mental health of the populace.
And that's huge, man, especially for law enforcement right now, man. We have a lot of guys in my agency. It was mandated. So guys, you had a choice. You could be excused if you had a religious excuse or some type of medical condition. But for the most part, guys don't want to lose their jobs. Guys want to keep, security. They want to, this is their career. You know what I mean? So but you are seeing a lot of guys who are leaving the profession as a whole, or they're going to these other agencies who don't have these specific mandates. In places like Florida and these agencies in Florida, that's the way to grow their brand. Why not? If you're struggling in Florida to have guys come in, and we've seen this turnover rate, why not open up your the floodgates and bring these hardworking officers who know how to do the job to your agencies to do your work? Because there's other places that aren't there. I don't know, man. I really kind of hate that. I'm not like anti-vaccine. I am vaccinated. I'm not anti-vaccine or anything. It was kind of rushed on me to do it. But I believe in having a choice, man. Guys should be able to have a choice, and you do it the right way. And I think they're trying to do it now. Like here, a lot of local municipalities are saying, "Hey, if you have the vaccine, cool, you got your stuff. If you don't, you got to get tested every week. You got to kind of go through an extra ringer, and that's bringing a lot of stress on these guys, man. Going to get some agencies are testing people twice a week now." And guys don't want to do that. So guys, what happens is guys either end up submitting and getting the vaccine, or guys end up saying, I can't do it, and they leave.
I think one of the biggest things that's come to light just in the last week is I posted just a screenshot of the front of the study, but over, I think it was 2,000 counties and 300 countries, they did a meta-analysis between vaccination rate and infection rate. And there's zero correlation between vaccination status and infection rate. So really what this is it's a personal health choice. Like we've been saying for the last fucking 3 months. It's a personal health choice. It statistically shows that it should reduce your symptoms. If you want to get it, you should get it. What it does not show is that it's reducing infection rates, because you're still getting it.
And see that, you're still getting it, whether you were vaccinated or not. I mean, I've always been big on my health. So there's a lot of people like, I'm not obese. I eat clean. I train every day. The probability of me getting COVID and dying from it is very, very, very rare, very slim to none, because I take care of my body. But there's a lot of other people like that who take care of their bodies, who eat clean, rest well, who have a very good immune system that don't need the vaccine. So like you said, it's a health choice. You know what I mean? If you're telling me that I take the vaccine and I'm never going to get COVID again, cool. But don't tell me to get the vaccine and people are still getting it and dying from it. I mean, that I'm not gonna know.
And we've fallen down this rabbit hole again. Okay, back. We'll pull it back out. As a successful, intelligent black male, what
Yes.
can we do? And I'm sure you work with a lot of the kids that come from broken homes that are just damaged, right? Like they're damaged. I know the church is one answer, but what else can we do to try to help these kids? Because telling them that they're misfortune, telling them that they're damaged, telling them that they're hurt is not doing anything for them except for fucking them up even more.
100%. People want to see real people, man. They don't want to hear it on the TV. They don't want to hear it on the radio. They want to see you, and that's a lot of the work that comes down here. I've done a lot of work in the communities here. Even after getting shot in my own community, I go back and guys, they want to see you. You know what I mean? These kids want to see your face. If you want to change the narrative, people need to see that you care. And that doesn't mean tell them. That means doing it. They've been told, they've been lied to by their parents, by their family members, by everybody else in their life. They want somebody who's going to tell them the truth. They want somebody who's going to care for them. So guys, they want true, hardworking, honest people who are going to care about them. And you do that by just loving people, man. And that's what I think this world needs more of is love, man. We do so much of, we get into these little cliques and these groups and we care about our own successes. But that's not what the word tells us. We should be learning and growing. We should be meeting those strangers, even in a church, in a church setting. What is it doing for me to meet with a bunch of guys who are every Monday? I meet with a bunch of guys who are saved and who love Jesus. And I'm meeting with those guys once a week. But what am I doing the other 6 days? Those other 6 days, I should be meeting people. I should be meeting and reaching out to people who don't know Jesus. And I should be trying to minister to them. And I should be trying to bring them to the faith. Like, people want to see those people. And they want to see real people. And all these Christians out there, and if this hurts your feelings, so be it. People don't want Bible thumpers. They don't want you to tell you, because that's what turns people away from Christianity is they see you, a Christian, they think, oh, he hates my sin. He hates my sin. He's not going to love me. I can't trust him. He's going to judge me. They don't want to see that. They want to see you make mistakes, you repent, you forgive, and you still be able to get back on your feet in love and claim Jesus as your Lord and Savior. That's what they want to see. They want to see broken people. God wants to use broken people, man. He doesn't want to use the prideful, or he wants to use broken people to carry out his mission.
I think, and everybody out there, everybody's got some broken in them. Right. And so if you're portraying yourself as this shiny, this shiny stone, you're just full of shit. Whereas, like, we're real on here. Like, we talk about real things, and we talk about our fuck ups and our damage. And that's what it's going to take.
That's good, Paul. I agree with that 100%. And people, they want to see people with scars and stories and histories, and that people who have been places that they've been. They want to be able to relate to you, man. If you're not a relatable person, man, nobody wants to be around.
I mean, if you just look at the Bible itself, I mean, God used every person that God used. I mean, murderer, adulterer, prostitute, you name it. I mean, he's used all the worst, broken people. He didn't use any perfect people. He seemed to go after those guys.
So good, man. And people got to take, you got to take so much away from it. And like, he wants to use broken people, man. I think about even my story, and I'm pretty sure both of you guys have stories of that nature, man. When you get back into this mindset, everybody, my pastor asked me right after the incident happened, he's like, since the incident, have you blamed God? I said, never once have I blamed God. So many guys or believers get into this mindset of saying, why me, God? Why me? I always say, why not me? Let me be the one who you work on. Let me be the broken one that you restore so that I can continue to carry out your mission. I always ask God, why not me? And it's one thing, if you ask God, if you ask him, not to preach to you guys, but if you ask him to be a vessel for his mission, that's one prayer he's always going to answer. He's going to put you through the trial, man. So if you're not ready for it, you better not ask for it, because if you ask him to carry out his mission and to be a light and a beacon for his kingdom, he's going to use you. In his way, not your way. So be prepared for it.
How do you think crime has changed since you started? What are you seeing?
Crime has gotten a lot worse. Because of the whole liberal mindset, they've gotten away from this. They want to get rid of this cash bonding system. And just to give you a specific to kind of show you how bad it is here. Both of my defendants are convicted felons, multiple charges of firearm by felon. One of them, who was currently he was out on bond for firearm by felon and a possession of marijuana, and was given like a $20,000 unsecured bond, was let out, and then 2 weeks later he shoots my ass. So if we were doing things right in the justice system and hold people accountable and not worried about everybody's feelings, that guy would never been out to shoot me. So that's kind of how I think about it. We get to this thing where we care so much about these criminals than we do actual law-abiding citizens that want to live right. You know, if you can't, I'm cool with it. Like if you're doing these little small crimes, little petty crimes, cool, we can recidivate you. But if you're out here doing violent crimes, shooting people in broad daylight, shooting in the houses, shooting in the cars, and have no sense of remorse for anything you're doing, then you don't deserve to see the light of day. We got to get back to that, man. We got to start punishing people. You know what I mean? We got to start punishing people from the crimes that they commit. And that's what it boils down to. If you don't, you let it run. You create police who are afraid to police. Then that's an opportunity, a betting ground for criminals to do what they want. And we've seen, because they know that police aren't going to do their jobs. They know that the police are not there turning on blue lights. They're not trying to stop anybody. They know if they go to jail, they're going to get a low bond. They know if they go before the judge, they're going to get probation. So they know that, man. They're taking advantage.
Yeah,
of
that's
it right
that's a slow evolution. That doesn't happen overnight. That's been happening for a long time, and you don't fix it overnight. But you got to at least start moving in the right direction. You got to turn the ship, even if it's a big ass ship that takes a long fucking time to turn. You got to turn the ship.
100%, brother.
Martin, you got anything else?
Oh man, probably could talk for a long time, but yeah, just appreciate you coming on, and man, you got a great story, and appreciate you sharing your spiritual side and talking about accountability and PTSD, because yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's just my experience with the VA too is you can't sit there and talk to a 40-year-old lady trying to talk to you about combat, and it doesn't mesh, but they just keep throwing them at you.
Yeah. And they're just trying to, the thing is, Martin, they're trying to check off the boxes, man, to say we did it, instead of caring about the people. We got to get back to it. And if that means that the people who are involved in it, guys like us, who are involved in it, who have the experience, they want to see us. They don't need to hear it from that 40-year-old woman who's never been involved in any type of combat, who's never experienced war, who's never seen blood. They want to hear from the real warriors who've been there. That's why some of these agencies and these companies who get together, they get all these tarnished warriors together to talk about those war stories and share that stuff with. That's what's going to save us, man. Because we can't do it alone, bro. And it's only a few to understand it. Not everybody's going to understand what you've been through. Not everybody's going to understand. There's this saying I say for my guys. Everybody's haven't been to the show before, and I've been to the show. You've been to the show. A lot of guys don't know. They don't know what the show looks like, man. So when they get in the spotlight, they don't know how to perform, brother.
Awesome. Thanks again, man. A lot of awesome information. Everybody's gonna really like this one. Whenever we have guests on, they're very well performing podcasts versus when just me and Martin's ugly mug get on and talk. So
they're sick of hearing from us.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for having me on. I've done a couple of these. By far, this has been the best setup, the easiest setup. You guys sent me a list of stuff to kind of prepare for what I was looking forward to. A lot of times you get up here and guys are just talking. You guys present it well. I'm looking forward to linking with you guys again, having a relationship with both of you guys and kind of reconnecting here down the road and kind of sharing some information, sharing some knowledge. I'm a sponge, man. I want to soak it up. So I'm one of those guys going to ask you 1,000 questions. I want to make myself better, but I want to make the guys that's going to come after me better as well. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Chance.